On today's episode of Parker's Reef, we're going to move a brand new tank in at the Marine and Freshwater Discovery Centre in Queenscliff, but we're also going to feed these incredible cuttlefish. Okay, so you may be wondering, what is the Marine and Freshwater Discovery Centre in Queenscliff? Wow, it's a tongue twister. But basically, it's a facility that provides education services that creates awareness about the importance of commercial and recreational fishing in both marine and freshwater environments. Basically, it's kind of like a small aquarium with an educational feel to it about teaching kids about the importance of keeping our oceans and our rivers as clean and as cared for as possible. So it's an incredible little facility. And if you're wondering where Queenscliff is, it's in Victoria. It's around the bay from Melbourne, about half an hour's drive out of Geelong. So before we get to the point of moving the brand new tank in or even feeding that cuttlefish, let's take a sneaky little tour of the facility, because it's one of the benefits of helping out on the weekend is that you get to have a little bit of a tour around the facility when it's not actually open to the public. And it's a good opportunity when you've got your camera in your pocket to wave it around a little bit, get some footage for you guys at home, and hopefully generate a little bit of interest for the facility and maybe get you to take your family there on school holidays. So you can see we've got some really cool little setups here. We've got this cute little puffer here, such a character. And each of these little tanks have got some information about them and what they're there for, what we are to learn from them. If anything more than just looking at how cute the animals are. And you can see the beautiful, we've got some fairly standard puffers there, but check out also that ornate puffer behind there. Such a intricate pattern on that guy. Really cool fish to see. And you can see the fish have got some information on them there and where they can be collected and their type of diets, etc., etc. And in this tank here, we've got some rock lobsters. There's a big guy hiding underneath the rock. Now, some of these tanks don't have their lights on yet, and some of them did just have their lights on, so we could have a little poke around. So you can barely see the lobster hiding under there because he's been rudely awakened on his Sunday morning sleep-in. But nonetheless, wave the camera at him and see what we can get. We've got some more tanks here with some different species of fish collected from different regions. We've also got, you can see there, little information on sponge gardens and some of the research that fisheries do. In here, looks like we got all sorts of shellfish in here. And this guy here, I cannot remember what he is. I think he may be a perch, but don't quote me on that. And we've got some other big fish here. These guys are crazy. Check out these nice starfish in here too. They're some pretty serious guys. You would not want to be stepping on them. And yeah, just in case you're wondering, you can get more information from all these signs because, as you can tell, I am not the wealth of information when it comes to non-aquarium fish. Well, when it comes to lots of things really, but particularly non-aquarium fish. So you see, when you first come into the facility, it looks relatively small here, but there's a whole heap of tanks around there. Surrounded by, in the middle, we've got this really cool little touch tank. There's a tank here for anemones, which this one's got plenty of aptages in there, so that might be familiar to some of you guys at home. Hopefully not too many. And we got some more stars in there, a big chunky looking dude and a cool big sort of featherworm there. We got some freshwater tanks over there. I'll skip through those because, yeah, it's Parker's Reefs. We got this cool touch tank in here, and there's a bunch of these really large hermit crabs and some urchins and other things in there. And this little display here on the right, when we have a look in there, just shows how some of the land and things all work together to create these nice inhabitants, nice little environments for things to live. And you can look out here, you can actually see straight out into the waters there. So we've got an opportunity here just to see some starfish getting fed. Starfish, my apologies. Wow, it's been a long weekend. I helped move 2 tanks this weekend, and I've got videos on both. But obviously these are seahorses, and I'm quite surprised. They're actually fairly interested in some frozen mysis, which normally when I've seen seahorses in home tanks, they're a little bit more picky than that. These guys are showing a fair bit of interest in going after the food, and that little one there on the right just grabbed a big bit. You see someone pointing at him, and as cool as it was to see them eat, there was an absolute star of the show, and he's coming up. We were told as we were entering that we're going to see a cuttlefish eat a huge crab, and it did not take long. Look at him hone in on him, and bam, grabs him. And one thing that we were told about this cuttlefish, and you can see as he's eating the crab here, when they pick them up, they actually spin them around so their claws are facing outwards. And then I'm told you can see the crab still trying to get his revenge there, despite the fact that the cuttlefish is now munching down on his head and basically killing him. The crab's not giving up yet. But yeah, the cuttlefish is able to spin him around and ensure that his claws don't get in a position where it can actually harm him. I'm all just repeating this information from the staff were there, but it was incredible. And there was a bunch of guys and girls here. There was about 10 of us, I think, that moved this big tank in. And I think the youngest one of us probably would have been 30, 35. Most of us sort of late 30s into our 40s. Everyone was oohing and ahhing at this cuttlefish eating the crab. It was a real cool sight to see. You don't normally see cuttlefish in tanks at all, and the animals are just something special. The way they swim with these fins that go all the way around their body, the way their colour pulses and changes to the environment, and obviously, yeah, seeing them smash a crab like this is something else to see. I even got some super slow-mo footage here from the side so we could try and see the crab just getting basically crunched and then dragged into the body. At this point in time here, I'm pretty sure the cuttlefish has destroyed him. And the staff there did say that if you see the claws still moving, it'll just be because he's dragging them into the body, so the sort of limbs will move around. Incredible sight. And the other thing that was really interesting about that was that this cuttlefish eats 2 crabs that size a day, or if the crab's a little bit smaller, you'll eat 3 a day. Amazing to think how many crabs they must eat. And if you're in Victoria and you've seen the hundreds upon thousands of cuttlefish that end up washed, like the cuttlefish skeletons that get washed up on the shore, it blows my mind to think how many of these guys are out there in the wild, and then how many crabs there must be for them to eat in the wild. It's something else. But the whole point of this video was, well, the point of the video was to showcase this facility to get you to come down to Queenscliff and check it out, bring the kids along. But the point of my visit wasn't to do a video. My point of the visit was to get a new tank, and a new tank set up in one of the classrooms. Bruce from Fishful Thinking does some fantastic work all around the Geelong and Melbourne region, and he got the job here to set up this new tank for a pufferfish that is known as Nelly to the staff. Obviously, they had the tank on premise ready to go. Thankfully, it was already on a pallet, so we just had to wheel it out. I say we, I'm obviously holding the camera, so I'm not getting my hands too dirty just yet. And we got to just wheel it up down the side of the building. Got a few guys helping out there, which is always handy. Bruce is taking us through some of the instructions. We had to tip the tank up on its side to get through the doorway. I got some footage coming up here of the tank actually getting lifted. Bruce is just walking us through the process of how we're going to get through the doorway, where we're going to have the suction cups, where the people are going to be. You can see the exterior of the premises here is pretty cool. And we're just doing a little dry walkthrough so we can see just where the tank's going before we lift this beast of a tank. It's 2.5 meters long, so it's a pretty serious tank for what turns out to be predominantly really for one fish. He does have 2 friends that are going in with him, but that pufferfish is one lucky little pufferfish. So we come around here, you see the back of the facility here where we've got a few classrooms. So it's not just the actual wet area or fish tanks display. They do some research here, and they do some classroom teachings. So we can see in this room here is where the tank's going. It's got quite a low stand there already. That's where the tank's going to go. And we're now in the process of carrying it in. So thankfully we were able to use that trolley. We were able to just get it up over the step of the entrance to that building. And we had a couple of different options of how we were going to get this tank through, and this was going to be the easier option, and thankfully it worked out because we weren't entirely sure if it was going to fit, but thankfully it did. So these trolleys were a huge lifesaver. They made the whole job so much easier. We were able to get the tank in on its side. The last little measure and check, because we ended up putting some little pieces of wood on top of the stand, which would just make it easier to get the tank up on there. And then once the tank was on there, we were able to lift it up and drop it in place. You see this trigger here just waiting for someone to put a finger in the tank. That was not going to be me. And now you can see the pieces of wood in place, and now the tank is in place. We just have to push the tank back a little bit in the room, but this is the height of the tank. It's actually going to have a little ramp set up so kids will be able to walk up there and feed the puffer with some specialised equipment. They won't be putting their hands in there, and everyone's now having a little celebration. So quick check-in on Nelly the puffer. She's looking pretty excited about getting into this gigantic new tank, and I can't blame her. I've also got what looks to be a little trigger there, and a little, I think that's a flathead down the bottom. I apologise if I'm incorrect there, but yeah, that tank is for those 3 guys and those 3 guys only. But anyway, I just wanted to finish off here. I got called in by Bruce to give a hand in this job, and I love going out to see things like this because it's opportunities you don't always get to see in facilities like this. I know they're made for kids, but I had an absolute ball there, and I can't wait to the school holidays where I'm going to take the family down there and get the full tour when it's fully set up and not just a cheeky Sunday morning look while we're in there meant to be lifting a tank in. But till next time, guys, thanks for watching. I do have another tank install video coming up. This one will be in a tattoo parlour, and it is an absolute top-end tank install. So I've got the footage of that, just putting it together now. If you want to see things like that, be sure to subscribe, hit that bell notification so you don't miss it. Till next time, guys, thanks for watching. Bye.